Previously in chemistry. You have been examining chemical reactions mainly qualitatively, meaning, for example, let's say you mix two substances. You are watching what happens, right? Are they reacting? What does it look like? What you're trying to do here is to examine the reaction qualitatively. You're measuring the quality rather than the quantity of the reaction. But chemistry is a quantitative science. Theories are based on data. Scientific theories are supported by measurements and calculations. That's why when we conduct a chemistry experiment, we often need to collect both qualitative and quantitative data. We take measurements, right? We are going to do a lot of activities in this unit doing just that. So you have to become familiar with using numbers, and yes, there will be some math. But when you hear the word math, some of you automatically reject the idea. But math can be fun. A human brain is capable of processing information using logic and reasoning, which is basically math. So math is one of our greatest inventions that separate us from other species. So be proud when you do math. Back to numbers. When we take measurements in science, we use units. A number itself doesn't mean much in science. For example, if I see a number 5, I would be like 5 what? But if you say 5 meters, I would know that you're talking about the length of something. 1 meter is the unit in this case. So remember that in science, when you take measurements, you have to use units. We have many different units depending on the type of quantity you're measuring. For example, like I said earlier, when you're measuring length, we use meter as a unit. When we measure mass, we use gram as a unit. When we measure time, we use second as a unit, and so on. These are what are called metric units. Units you're familiar with are most likely not metric. They are called English units. For example, miles, inches, pounds, and ounces are some examples of English units. The international science community decided to use the metric system in science, so you cannot use these English units in science classes. Okay, so I don't want to see any inches or miles in your measurements. Other common units in the metric systems are liters for volume, degree Celsius or Kelvin for temperature, and joules for energy. There are many others, and you will learn more in the future lessons.